We are recording with Dr. Spencer on Monday, September 16th, 2024 at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Time. You have been on here multiple times before, and if you guys go into the description, you can find his website as well as his Twitter and his new book, which I'm a horrible host, and I said I was going to have it read on time, and I didn't have it read on time, so I mean, I suppose I think the only reasonable, karma is I hand over the podcast to you, full ownership, full Rolodex, and I give you everything. And that's my self-flagellation. Now it might actually be a detriment to you financially and socially to take over my show, but it is a penance I'm willing to pay. Um, and then
Good
also, of
evening.
course,
Welcome to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Our first guest, Tommy Carrigan.
thank you for having me. You immediately start belittling me. You're like, listen up. You're horrible. I'm like, oh God. But yeah, so uh
How
also
does it feel to be a failed host?
well listen, it's you know, we all try, I suppose. And
Yep.
I failed. I failed. So thank you for having me on your show. Um, but yeah, so I mean, do we even talk about them trying to kill Trump again? I mean,
Sure.
there was a good point I saw.
I got a good point.
Yeah,
I
go
got a
for it.
good point that people have not made, as far as I know. You may have seen the New York Times quote that in March 2023, Ryan Ruth, the would-be assassin, was featured in a New York Times story about his efforts to try to get recruits among Afghan refugees to fight in Ukraine. And he said, and we were trying to get them in Pakistan and Iran. We got a lot of contacts there. And he was very gung ho on Ukraine. Now, that's been out there, and people say, look, the guy was big into Ukraine. And that in itself is striking because Ukraine is involved with so many of these things. You know, Trump was the first impeachment was about his phone call to Zelensky. And uh, Hunter Biden is all mixed up with Ukraine, where he had the sweetheart job
Mhm.
in a business he knows nothing about, getting massive amounts of money, obviously influence peddling for his father. And now here, this guy who wants to kill Trump is raising recruits for Ukraine, and he gets written up in the New York Times. Now, this is the point that I want to come to here. There are, what, 330 million people in the United States, and quite a lot of them support Ukraine. And I'll bet that more than this one guy was recruiting fighters for Ukraine. But the New York Times found this one guy and highlighted it. How did they find him? How does the New York Times find anybody they ever quote? They know somebody. They ask somebody that's tied in, and the guy says, "Yeah, yeah, here I know a guy you can talk to," and they connect them up. And so my point, my primary point here is that this guy was already a major cog in the machine because he was connected to people who could get him into the New York Times, and he was connected with people who were working in Ukraine. And then he ends up trying to kill Trump. I don't think this is any mistake or any coincidence. It's not in the least a coincidence. This is clearly a guy who is part of the establishment that is trying to get rid of Trump. And
Hmm.
I'm sure they will try again. But he's not just some random wacko. He is somebody who's a made guy in their evil fraternity.
And I saw something, and I have no idea how accurate it is, but apparently Trump's decision to go golfing was last minute,
So
and
somebody feeding
that
information.
that implies a mole, right? Because somebody was like, well, maybe you just go hang out there and wait for him. Okay, yeah, if you're like a small time mafia hitman and you're taking out, you or me, yeah, sure, you'd probably find out where I go grocery shop. You don't, of 2 months after an assassination attempt, you don't just hang out on the gated, highly secure ex-president billionaire's property. It's a you have one shot, right? You don't hijack a plane and just, casually fly around Manhattan until you choose a day, right? No, it's you one and done, and you have to go for it because as soon as you go for it, you're gonna be killed no matter what.
Yep.
So you don't just hang it, which implies a mole. So that just as an aside, I saw, and again, I have no idea how accurate that is, but I'm just more. I mean, it's very clear that everything revolves around Ukraine. That much is, and some people are diehard for it, against it. What I'm just looking at it kind of in an abstraction, just what is there that we don't know about? And I don't mean like something fantastical, but I mean we're no newbie to wars. We're no newbie to propping up foreign governments, good or bad, our hemisphere or another hemisphere. That's nothing new to the United States as a military empire. What in God's name is in Ukraine that, and some people say it's, well, they have blackmail on the president. I don't think that they're the first people to ever have blackmail on the president, and we've probably found that out in the past where somebody's like, "We're gonna blackmail the president," and they're like, "We'll nuke your country, or we'll just let the Soviets take it." Like the Cold. So, like, is there? I mean, is there like an un? Is had did it have they did they find 100 quadrillion cubic meters of oil there that we don't know about? I mean, what it like brass like just turn off the mic. You're in the back room with the people that run the world. What's in Ukraine? I'm asking, do you know like what is it?
Obviously, this is a big club that I'm not a member of, so I don't know for sure.
I can't
But I
know.
think that the money laundering allegations have never been adequately addressed, and that I realized that my mic is way over here, and I
No,
usually move it into place for the show, so
no,
that
you
should be
sound fine. No, you sound fine.
better.
Yeah,
That should be better.
yeah.
Anyway, the oh, hold on,
Now
sorry.
you're getting that feedback, or is that something else playing?
It is something else playing that often plays by itself, and I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. Probably the
Gremlins.
stage trying to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was I? There was something here. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ukraine, big club, you're not in it.
And money laundering.
Yes.
Been several politicians who have claimed that the Democrat establishment is involved in a massive money laundering operation in Ukraine. And when Sam Bankman Fried, who was some kind of strange billionaire off some kind of monetary speculation that I only dimly understand, if if that, but the allegation was going when he was first arrested, and of course he ultimately got off in a sweetheart deal. But he was first arrested. The claims were made that uh, aid money was being sent to Ukraine by the U.S. government. Then the Ukraine government would send the money to Sam Bankman Fried, who would then donate to Democrat politicians, so that it all was a way to get US government money into the hands of Democrat politicians. Now, we know that politicians, Democrat and Republican, get rich in Washington. It's a big money making scheme. You have ordinary people of ordinary means, and they get elected, and a few years later, they're millionaires.
Yeah.
And look at Alexandria
I was
Ocasio-Cortez. She
about
was
to say.
exactly. She
eh,
was what, a bartender or a waitress or something,
yeah.
not wealthy, and now I believe she's a millionaire or something close to it. And that comes from all kinds of shady dealings in Washington. I've often thought, and I still think, that book deals are one of those ways. I don't think she's got a book, but every politician has a book. Yeah, I know. There are also real books out there.
So, the book, should I put it away? But not now,
Yes.
Tommy, not now. Not, don't. No. Yeah, no, book deals, right? Yeah, no, you go push a bill through for Raytheon, and the CEO's daughter-in-law buys 500,000 copies of your book, and or speaking fees.
Yeah, but also you got people like Hillary Clinton, and I forget which publisher. I think Simon and Schuster, but some big publisher gave her some massive advance, multi-million dollar advance on her book. And I was thinking, they can't be stupid enough to think that they're going to sell enough copies of Hillary Clinton's book to make back that huge multi-million dollar advance.
Yeah.
And they don't actually. They know that they're going to take a big hit on that. It's buying influence, it's buying access. in Washington. That's what they're doing. They're paying her for various positions that she takes that they want favored. And that's what this is all about. So I think, I don't know for sure, maybe this is all wrong, but I don't think so. But I think that Ukraine is a big center for money laundering for politicians. And that's one of the reasons why it just keeps coming up in connection with all of these shady things. And that Trump somehow poses a threat to all that. I don't even understand why that is or why they think that is. I remember Hillary Clinton saying in 2016, this guy cannot be elected. He must not win. If he wins, we'll all be hanging from lampposts. And I thought, what does she think he's got on her? And obviously he didn't have it because she wasn't hanging from a lamppost. But they clearly think he's got something big on them. And they're desperate to stop him. And I think the money laundering in the Ukraine is part of that.
Yeah, so in that sense, it would be like, what was so special about COVID? Nothing. It was a public health scare, and then rolled out draconian security measures and vaccine stockpile purchasing. It had really nothing. The virus itself wasn't some spectacular. Could have been anything. It could have been a skin rash instead of an upper respiratory illness. So in that sense, it's like, yeah, there's nothing in Ukraine. It's arbitrary. And man, at least with the Middle East, you had like some vague logic. Not even like 9/11, Afghanistan, Taliban. Sure, everyone knew Iraq was BS, but even then, there was some, you know, yeah, we're there for oil, and like there was something there. There was some ground to no matter how evil it was. It was a war for profit, but there was still something there. Ukraine's just like there's nothing. It's clearly just it's just laundering, which doesn't even make sense because every dollar in aid we're giving them, we're not really giving them aid. That's a dollar that they have to spend on U.S. weapons, and they have to
Mhm.
pay back every dollar through the reconstruction with BlackRock. So, I mean, is that not enough laundering? I mean, you think you would just? I'm just looking at it as like a remove morals and ethics. You're just if this is a video game and you're just playing it and you're trying to figure it out, you would just go. You wouldn't need it. You would go. We gotta send 100 billion in weapons to them, guided missiles and anti-air and artillery. They have to buy it from Raytheon, and then we just use the old tried and true one. And then I make jobs in Raytheon's districts, and they give me a campaign donation. Like, is that not working anymore? And like that in itself is evil. I'm not even justifying that. I'm just like, we're just through the looking glass. I'm like, hey, like, what are you guys doing? You're adding another step to this. You're we've come to accept, the world has come to accept, or at least grow, I don't know, numb to the military industrial complex. It's like, yeah, they're evil. They're selling weapons for money. What else is new? That just doesn't work anymore? Like, just
Not enough.
that's where I'm at a loss. Like, it's all evil and they should all burn in hell, but have they not figured that? I thought we figured this Rubik's Cube out. We sell weapons that you have to buy from us, and then the defense contractors line your pocket when you're running for re-election. Are they just
Mhm.
adding more steps to it? Why?
It's
More pockets, more palms to grease? I don't know.
when you start being focused on amassing wealth, it never ends.
Yeah.
How much is enough?
Yeah. And then so yeah, why are they trying to kill Trump? Trump wants to, he says time and time again, the killing has to stop in Ukraine. Like I'll end the war tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's got to be it. He's threatening the racket.
they want it going on. As a matter of fact, we're at very real danger. Today is September 16th, so we're less than 2 months from the election, and we could be at war with Russia by the time the election comes around, because they are steadily escalating our presence there. And Putin already warned. Putin warned a couple days ago that he understands the relative strength of the forces of NATO versus Russia, but he also understands that Russia has state of the art nuclear weapons. And he said he wouldn't hesitate, and there's no winners in a nuclear war. But if the US and NATO get involved on the ground in Ukraine, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, and I think 2 days ago they're saying that like Biden wanted to authorize deep strikes into Russia, and then I think yesterday or this morning, the who's the UK guy, Starmer, whatever his name is, and
Oh,
who's the PM, the one that's like arresting everyone. You know what I'm talking about? Carl
where? What country?
in the UK.
Oh, Starmer. Yeah.
Starmer, yeah. I saw something today that said, he is talking to Zelensky about giving them the UK's Storm Shadow missiles for deep strikes into Russia, regardless of the US approving it. There's
Oh,
just, I mean, you'd really think that this is like the battle for the planet. They just like we need to authorize deep nuclear strikes into Russia. Like, why? Like,
yeah.
I just, I don't, I know innocent people are dying, and the U.S. probably antagonized or pulled Russia into it, or Russia is guilty for, or whatever the cause is. The Russian soldiers dying are a bunch of poor fucks who are drafted. The people in Ukraine dying are a bunch of poor fucks who are drafted and pulled off the street. I don't doubt that it's sad, and I don't doubt that these guys are legitimately fighting for their homeland or what they perceive. I'm not heartless. I understand that. I don't understand why the rest of the planet has to be on the precipice of cobalt salted thermonuclear holocaust for Ukraine. And not to use Dick Cheney as a as a good metaphor, but I will. You shoot down the plane full of innocent passengers on its way to crash into something. Because if you don't, it crashes into the building, kills everyone on the plane and the people in the building. If you shoot it down beforehand, you kill everyone on the plane. Everyone on the plane's already dead. There's no way in which Ukraine wins in this. It's they die from Russia, or they and everyone else dies under a mushroom cloud. But I guess this comes back to, our past talks, be it this or food or offspring or energy. This really seems to just be, in its truest sense, a satanic hatred of all life
Yes.
in the
That's
truest form.
yeah. So maybe they want that. Maybe they want a big nuclear war that will depopulate the planet because they're convinced that human beings are a negative influence on the planet. So you get rid of a few hundred billion, I mean, a few hundred million people or a few billion people, and that's supposedly to the benefit of everybody else.
Through thermonuclear war. Not a
Yeah.
virus, but a war which will scald and destroy everything and
Mhm.
all climates and wind and ocean currents and topsoil and food chain.
Yeah. And then there may be a few 100,000 people left, if that, and they can rebuild. But they think that would be an overall plus, that this scourge of humanity is gone. It's interesting to note, though, that that has happened before, not nuclear war, obviously, but massive depopulation has happened several times in human history.
Hmm.
Uh, the Black Plague in Europe devastated the European population, and you had cities that were bustling, and 100 years later, there was hardly anybody there. And what nobody talks about is that when that happened, the standard of living went down. The general state of the culture went down. People became more savage and brutish and less likely to be kind or magnanimous. The world got to be uglier and more dangerous. And it was not a general benefit for humanity, in other words, that there were fewer people. It caused a breakdown in the social order that led to anarchy and widespread violence, and probably would again.
I think humans probably are a negative impact on the planet, and I don't care. I mean, but I sincerely mean that. It's it's food. The planet is food. It's agar. It's a petri dish of nutrients. You're eating it. The
Mhm.
apple's being eaten by the ants. Yes, that's what the ants do. Like, yes, no, no, we're eating we're feeding it. It's when a mother is pregnant, the baby, no matter what, will get the nutrients. The mother's the one that will. If there's not enough nutrients, the baby's not deprived. The mother's
Mhm.
deprived. The baby will metabolize the bones of the pregnant mother. That's the point. You're being replaced. It's the next
Yep.
generation. I think we are the bacteria eating the sandwich. And I don't what? And I don't care. Huh?
Yeah.
What? Like, Tommy has a negative impact on the refrigerator. He eats everything in it. Correct. Correct. And I have a negative impact on the water level of this jug.
Yep.
Accurate. And I will continue to. That's, I guess, as a like, yeah, I don't care. No, no. Eat the planet, metabolize it, become a spacefaring species, be the cancer that they fear that we are. Like, I don't, I don't, and I guess that's what Trump stands to be in front of. But these aren't the actions then. And this is where I try to look at it in some optimistic light so I don't just overdose on black pills. These aren't the actions of a confident regime.
No, they're shaken to the core. Trump wasn't supposed to win in 16, and they've been off balance ever since and showing their hand. If Hillary had been elected in 16 and reelected in 20, then we might be, well, I think they assume that we would be much farther along on the way to the internationalist, socialist, authoritarian state that they want to establish. But now a lot of people have woken up to the fact that that is what they want to do and are resisting instead of it just being sort of a slow, graceful descent as it
Mm.
had.
Is there any positive outcome? Is there any way that Trump win? I mean, you would think that this really is such like a long, slow, orchestrated grinding of gears to get to a totalitarian communist dictatorship. You would think that they wouldn't freak out. I mean, they clearly don't want Trump to win, but I feel like they wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They'd be like, all right, this is a hiccup. This is a speed bump. We'll have him in for 4 more years. We'll block him. We'll obstruct. And then he's
Mhm.
done. And then he can't run again. You think that they would just kind of move like, like if Amazon has like some 20-year plan to, I don't know, increase manufacturing or, warehouses in China, they wouldn't freak out over like a 2-quarter delay. They'd be like, all
Yes.
right, okay. Like that's how these things operate. This isn't day trading. This is long term. Like, all right, well, we thought we were gonna do that, but we can, there's wiggle room. Are they
They,
just really freaking out over this one guy?
yeah, they clearly think he can do them serious damage in 4 years. And you're right, they're shaken to the core. They are scared. This is not a confident regime. If they thought, I mean, I think it's very unlikely that he'll win the election because they cheat. But, and also because we've seen several state legislatures now set the cheating mechanism in motion. Was it Arizona, I think, outlawed mail-in ballots, and then this Arizona Supreme Court said, "Oh, not so fast. We're going to have the mail-in ballots," because they want to make sure Harris wins Arizona. And I think that's not the only state where that kind of thing has happened. So the cheating is already set in motion, and I think it's very unlikely that he will win. However, if they thought it was in the bag, they
They
wouldn't
wouldn't
keep
shoot
shooting.
at him.
Yeah,
That's where I come in with like the silver lining, which is weird. It's like, no, they're trying to kill Trump. This is a good thing. Like, but I mean, yeah, no, it's you don't do if you had it in the bag, if you just it was gonna be stolen no matter what, you wouldn't do any of this. You would
well,
let
there's
Trump
another possibility.
what?
There's another possibility, though. The other possibility is that they're doing it because they
They're
think
it's so in the bag.
it's so in the
Oh
bag
God.
that they want to provoke an uprising
Oh God.
because then they can use the uprising to justify the authoritarian measures that they have planned. So they kill Trump, and a lot of patriots get riled and say that's enough, and they start a real insurrection instead of the fake one from January 6th. And then they get crushed, and we are under the boot of this totalitarian regime with that uprising justifying.
Why do you do this? Why do you come on this? I come here with love and light, with a candle of optimism, and you drop your pants and piss all over it. I hand over the show. We're not what we're 30 minutes into the show being yours. And you come
Yeah.
in here and you said we're all dead. We're all absolutely dead. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, of course, look, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I know.
no matter what, there's no doubt they're deeply insecure and they're scared. And so they might screw up again. They screwed up in 2016 and Trump won and became president. And they've screwed up in a massive way in the fact that we're even having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because when Trump won in 2016, I thought he was going to be an American president like other American presidents and be able to implement his program. And I never anticipated that it would be this deep state trying to block him at every turn. And now we all know that. And now we know there's this entrenched bureaucracy that is furiously leftist and will obstruct any president who bucks them. We didn't know that before. And so they've gradually had to reveal themselves in ways I think they wanted to keep it all secret. And the more that happens, the more resistance they're going to encounter.
Yeah, I I have to look for the silver lining, just like it's like like it's my own mental health. I think you've said it on here. I think Dr. Malone said it on here. You've both been like, luckily I've lived a long life. And I'm like, I haven't. I gotta I have to fucking find the silver lining. But you wouldn't keep shooting at Trump if, it wasn't in the if you're confident.
Mm-hmm.
You also more go farther back. You don't give up Twitter. You
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's kind
someone
of curious.
signed off on that somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think it's not been publicized, but I think Elon is playing ball with them in a way that is not obvious. But I can tell you, for example, my own experience, if you'll pardon the being self-referential, but I know that I have 263,000 followers, I think it is.
I have 450. Get your game up, dude. Not 1,000, 450.
So I have 263,000 followers. That ought to give me significant reach. But I generally get the kind of response to the tweets that somebody with a tenth of that gets,
Yeah.
like 1,000 views on a tweet on average. And usually I see people with 25,000 followers, a tenth of what I've got, and they get about that.
Yeah.
So it's very clear to me that I'm severely limited, that I'm censored, and people sometimes say, "Hey, I haven't seen you in years. Did you quit Twitter?" Stuff like that. When I'm tweeting every day because the stuff I write at Jihad Watch goes right up on Twitter. So it's very clear because I'm on the Southern Poverty Law Center's hit list that they have restricted my account. And Linda, what's her name? Linda Yaccarino, I think
Hmm.
her name. She's the CEO, and she's World Economic Forum. She's a tried and true card carrying leftist. And she said, we're going to restrict the accounts that are lawful but awful, she said. In other words, hate speech and stuff like that, which is a completely made up concept for people who are saying things the regime doesn't like. What I write is accurate and true, and I can prove it, but they don't like it, so they restrict it. And of course, I'm not the only one. And insofar as Elon does that, I think he's pleasing the leftist elites to the degree that they let him continue, even though he does allow for others to be on the platform that they would rather have banned.
Yeah, I mean that, and then also he's also as a single individual, I believe, and I could be wrong on this. I think he's the single biggest singular benefactor from DoD contracts.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, obviously you have companies that get more. Like Northrop Grumman is. I mean, they have their subsidiaries are the ones their little side hustles are the ones that build the aircraft carriers. I mean, Northrop Grumman can't even. But in terms of an individual, I'm pretty sure he's the single biggest financial benefactor. That doesn't even require any speculation. That requires nothing else. That if that fact is accurate, then he is part of intrinsically and inseparably of the DoD. The DoD is the enforcement arm of whatever regime there is. So I do kind of get that. I mean, and then you wonder, is something like Twitter, where, free speech is back, is this just a place to let off steam? Because without it, people are going to go crazy. If you can't post on Facebook, if you can't say anything on YouTube, it's eventually going to explode. You're going to have people start shooting. But if you have something like Twitter and Trump's back on and all the Alex Jones is back on, it kind of seems like pressure valves, and that's stopping anything from actually happening. Now, I have to be careful and not imply, people should take up arms. I don't need a visit. Just as an observation, with the JFK, those who prevent, peaceful rebellion or what, whatever, peaceful resistance, and make revolution inevitable or whatever it is. Isn't this kind of a way to just isn't this a punching bag? You let people come out and you're allowed to make tranny jokes now, and Elon retweets, and we got them. And
It could be. There's another thing too that just occurred to me when you were saying
uh,
DOD and
uh,
I didn't know. But one thing that I've noticed, because my next book is already done after Muhammad, it'll be out in a few months, and it's about anti-Semitism and the explosion of anti-Semitism since October 7th. Now, I just found out, it's not in the book because I just found it out, but Nick Fuentes, who's one of the high profile new anti Semites, he is on video telling people to go into the Capitol on January 6th.
yeah.
Now, before I saw that yesterday for the first time. Before I saw that, I thought Ray Epps was the only guy who had actually told people we got to go into the Capitol. And Ray Epps was obviously a fed because all these people who did nothing are languishing in prison for January 6th, even to this day. And Ray Epps got a sweetheart deal and a slap on the wrist, and he did much more than any of them. And now I find out that Fuentes, one of the highest profile anti Semites in the country today, is out there saying on January 6th, we're going to storm the Capitol. And nothing has happened to him at all. No arrest, nothing. So a lot of people are saying now he's a Fed. And the reason why I mention all this is because it may just be, Tommy, that it's because I wrote the book. And when I wrote the book on anti Semitism, I was looking for anti Semitic material online to put in the book. And so I was not following formally, but I was reading a lot of the accounts, the anti Semitic accounts that are huge on Twitter. Lucas Gage, I think his name is, and Jake Shields and all these
Hmm.
people, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're big Twitter stars. And they are, so I started to see a lot more anti Semitic material on Twitter, and there's so much of it. Now,
Mm,
I understand that Twitter has an algorithm so that if you're looking at stuff, you're
you
going to
know,
get more. And so it may just be because I was researching the book. But it also now occurs to me when you say he's got ties to the DOD, if Fuentes is a Fed, and we know that the government under Biden is wanting to turn against Israel. They've already betrayed Israel, withholding arms shipments, denouncing the war in Gaza based on Hamas casualty figures, allowing for Israel to be condemned at the UN. they really want the vote in Michigan and Minnesota, and they think they got to throw Israel under the bus to get it. So maybe they want all this anti-Semitic stuff to proliferate, and they're working
Mm.
on for that.
Mm.
Just total speculation,
Yeah,
but
no.
if Fuentes is the Fed, then why not?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I follow a lot of accounts that are anti-Semitic, anti-African, I like the anti-white ones. I follow it because I think hate speech is genuinely hilarious. I mean that at my core. It is the realest comedy you'll ever find. When you find someone just legitimately talking shit about a white Irish Catholic guy, or you find like just and no matter what, they tie it back to the Jews. I just think that's to my core, I think it's funny.
Well,
Like,
that used to be very common
yeah,
until society went crazy.
yeah,
People made jokes about other groups, and nobody got mad. It was just everybody was joking about everybody else.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
it's now you'll get arrested.
yeah. No, I just genuinely think it's hilarious. But yeah, no, or, I mean, is he working? Is he an Israeli Fed? Why
Hmm,
wouldn't you? If you want to say that, oh, there's anti-Semitism, wouldn't you want to jack up the anti-Semitic rhetoric? Isn't that
sure.
exactly what you want to do? I mean, just if we're throwing it out there, isn't that exactly what you want to do? Is start pointing out the Jewish involvement in everything?
You mean to fight that?
No, 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 no. If you're Israel, let's say you're looking at the Biden administration going, the withholding arms, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
so you want a lot of anti-Semitism out there, so you can say, "Look what we're
So
up
you
against."
can say we're up against anti-Semitic in America, even there, even the shining city on the hill. Is it? Wouldn't you want to? I would.
So, so the Jews did it, in other words.
That is, he's owned he's owned the show for 44 minutes and we're already there. We're already there. 44 minutes. And yeah, so the Jews own it all. And but
Yep.
no, but that would be, I mean, again, maybe this is just like a form of dissociation in the face of, World War III. But I mean, that would be hilarious. Nothing would be funnier than if like Nick Fuentes was a Mossad agent. I mean, that would be the funniest thing on the planet.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. But yeah, all these things are just, but at the same time, I don't know, you look at Twitter and Twitter's where all these stories were breaking about the Trump assassination attempt, the first one. So
Yeah,
that doesn't necessarily jive with like him being in bed with I think what's probably more accurate is the most unsexy answer. That's probably the most realistic one, and that there are different factions and it's like looking at like an audio waveform of a song or something. It's just spiking and stuff. You probably have different factions and alliances, and there's no honor among thieves. They're all stabbing each other in the back, and they all have blackmail on one another, who was on this island and who wasn't, and you'll push this through. And I'm for arms to Ukraine, but I'm not for arms to Israel. And it's like it's probably something more akin to that, in that
yeah,
there is no sturdy monolithic fortress of you're behind the castle walls or you're not. It's probably more like a shifting, I don't know, crowd or something. And they're
could be.
all maneuvering. It's all probability. It's all game theory. It's all who's the horse to back right now. I mean, why would you have Zuckerberg coming out after obviously Elon comes out and endorses Trump right after the assassination attempt, but then you have Zuckerberg come out and talk about how the Biden administration pressured him to send, like, what is that about?
Very surprised by that. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, and people are like, Zuck's having a change of heart. I'm like, no, he's not. He's a psychopath billionaire who's just looking at the wins and he's just going, oh, there. So in that sense, that's actually kind of a positive thing. Because if you go,
Yeah,
there is no honor, they're all just whores. All you would need is them to have like a significant reading. They've got their finger on a pulse of things that you and I probably don't even have access to. They might go, hey, I know for a fact Trump's going to win. There's a military, there's a cadre of military people who are going to make sure he does. They'd go, all right, yeah, I'll just stab these people in the back. They don't care. They'll cut off funding for Ukraine tomorrow and feel no way about it.
sure.
So in that sense, it's like they might just all go for Trump if it seems like he's going to win. They don't care. None of them give a shit, and that's actually kind of optimistic. Like, oh,
Yes,
they're not. I don't doubt that there are some diehard communists. I think most of them just wake up and look which way the wind's going. They'll drape themselves in the flag tomorrow if they think that's what they need.
I hope so.
Yeah. Now, I know you don't like that because as the owner of this podcast, you're trying to tie it all back to the Jews, and I think that's just I think it's disgusting. I just don't understand. I don't know why you do that, but
Yeah, Nick Fuentes put me up to it.
yeah, yeah. If Nick Fuentes put you up to anything, I'd kill you. If you
I
let
don't.
him,
I've never spoken to the man. I don't know him.
I'm
He has been out. I can tell you that. You can find his denunciation on YouTube.
he has a what?
He did denounce me some time ago.
Hmm.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, no, he
I don't.
looks he looks like I said this the other night. The best way I could describe him is he looks like a twink at a Halloween party trying to portray a 1970s news anchor. That's the best way I can describe him. It's the only thing about him. Like that's the yeah, if he forced you to do it, if he ever bullied you into doing anything, I would lose all respect for you immediately. I would never talk to you again.
You have to worry.
Yeah, no. If I don't know. Maybe if he like pistol whipped you or something, that'd be okay. Um, but then lastly is so and this is where I thought I was going. I just thought they were going to push for war with China, and that was
Mhm.
going to be the big one. It seems like that's a card they're not playing yet, or maybe they actually fear that China's a formidable near-peer competitor. I thought that would be the card they'd play to kind of push through whatever they want, Patriot Act 2.0 or whatever. They
Well,
don't seem to be,
that could happen anytime. It's always right there. All they
yeah,
have to do is move on Taiwan, and we could end up in a war with them.
yeah,
But right now, it looks much more likely, at least at the moment, that it's going to be with Russia over Ukraine. The buildup right now, it's exactly like what happened in Vietnam in the 60s. We started out with some military
advisors.
advisors, and then it grows to a little contingency force. And before you know it, we're in a full scale war. And I think that we're on the path right now.
Yeah. If they pulled that off and like didn't get blown up by Russia, you'd almost have to admire it. If they could just pick fights with anyone, you kind of almost be like, fuck it, like long live the Empire. You know, if they pulled that off, you'd almost be like, that is kind of cool. You
I'm going to
just
be the last guy not to say that.
yeah, no, I'll say it. That's
Did you ever read Rhinoceros? It's a
no,
play, read or see, by Eugene Ionesco. It was made
no,
into a movie with Gene Wilder.
mm-mm,
Uh, he's everybody's becoming rhinocery, and he's the last guy. He won't do it. And he even forms a group with his friends. They're going to be the holdouts. But one by one, his friends get picked off and they become rhinoceroses too. And finally, he's just the last one he's not going to do it. That's going to be me.
it's gonna be you.
Join the establishment.
Yeah. No. They'll kill me before I can join them. They don't want me on board. But yeah, I don't know. And apparently they're doing like another UFO hearing this month or next month.
That's all a distraction.
That's what I mean. That's where I'm like, yeah, this isn't good if they're trying out the UFOs. I saw something where they want to disclose it. Some politician, somebody who I guess was in one of the meetings, said yesterday that there's quote an extremely large craft near our nuclear facilities. It's like, oh damn it, like they're gonna start World War III. Fuck. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I had 34 years. I think I enjoyed it. That's all I can do. I don't really. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess if he won in 2016, he can. Impossibilities can happen again. I don't think the first assassination attempt was staged. That was, I mean, I don't know if that's divine providence, but
I think Trump could win. They're going to be trying hard to make sure he doesn't, but he could win. But if he does win, it's not certain that they'll let him take office. And then if he takes office, it's certainly not certain that he'll be able to govern because they could start their own insurrection then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny how like, like I haven't even thought that far. Like, what if he gets in? What is he actually gonna do? Like, yeah, probably nothing. Like, he can't.
Yeah,
It's I don't know. Maybe that's the least worst case. I don't know. I guess, and we'll wrap it up with this, is I try to look at things in terms of like my own ego. Like, isn't it convenient that all of human history, from the Fertile Crescent to space warfare, it's ending in my life? Like, do I really believe it? And no other, not the plague, not, not Christ walking Earth, not the 100 Years War, not World War One or World War Two or the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's ending now. Doesn't it seem a little egocentric? Right? Oh no,
yes,
it's for you, Tommy, right now. The whole world forever.
it's unlikely. And every age has thought that they would have.
It's the end.
Remember Joachim of Fiore, who you probably have not heard of. In the 13th century, he interpreted the book of Revelation as having to do with events in his own age
Yeah.
and said, we're in the end times.
Yeah.
Well, it's only 900, 800 years later now.
Yeah. I mean, Terrence McKenna, he had his whole idea of I called it time wave zero, trying to predict things on novelty. And he died in 2000, but he predicted the end of the world, and it was on his birthday. And his brother Dennis was like, Terrence,
Yes.
come on. He was like, it seems like it's the end. He's like, I don't know, man. I think you're, maybe looking in the mirror too long. So that's how I try to look at it. I'm like, just based on, it's like when in South Park, when Cartman goes to the NSA and he sneaks in and looks up his own name because he wants to see how much of a threat he is. And he's labeled fat and unimportant. And he's like, no, no, I'm a terrorist. And it's like, no, he's labeled fat and unimportant. He's like, this can't be right. This can't be right. Like,
My FBI file says.
yeah, yeah. So like, part of me is like, it's ending in my time. You just imagine like just looking at it, and they're like, yeah, no, you're fat and unimportant. I'm like, oh, the aliens. They're like, will you shut the fuck up? Your podcast sucks. I'm like, all right. So, guys, please go in the description. Please go grab the new book. You and I will do an episode on it, and I will read it. Thank you for having me on your show. Um,
It's been a pleasure.
I'll hand it over to you. And
Great guest. We'll have you back.
yeah, thank you. You just end it. You just lighting an Israeli flag on fire. All right, dude. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Spencer. Guys, please go in the description. Please go visit his website. Please go follow him on Twitter. And please go grab the book. And yeah, man, as always, I appreciate your time. Appreciate chatting with you. You're a cool dude. And yeah, thank you for time out of your day.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Till
sir.
next time.
Guys. Yes, sir. Guys, thank you so much for watching.